It's Friday night at Madison Square Garden, one of the world's most famous sports arenas. The New York Knicks have a game tonight, and basketball fans are excited, but for a different reason than you might think.
Do a lot of your friends sports gamble? Is it common?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you guys bet on?
Anything. Nah, bro.
Wait, what all bets do you have tonight?
Bronson's going.
I got
Knicks money line, of course.
Knicks money line,
You got
what
Bronson
else?
for 30 plus.
Ever since I started, I haven't stopped. I mean, you could call it addiction, but I think it's just dedication.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like the national pastime in America is no longer sports themselves, but placing bets on the games.
They have normalized gambling for a generation of young people. That today, to watch a sporting event, you're not a sports fan anymore unless you're gambling on the game.
There was a national ban on sports gambling until the Supreme Court overturned it in 2018. It's now legal in most of the country. As the industry expands, it's easier than ever to place bets. 30 states now allow people to sports bet on their phones.
If money is the substance that problem gamblers abuse, the mobile phone is basically the means of getting high. We are seeing the kinds of sports betting now that's not just unprecedented in American history, it's unprecedented in the world.
I got friends that I would say are avid gamblers, you know what I mean? And I don't know why some of them are, because some of them I'm like, bro, you lose every time.
Why do you think they keep doing it?
It's obviously addictive. It's just why we scroll on our phones.
If you live within 50 miles of a casino, you're much more likely to become addicted. With online gambling and it going onto phones, that 50 miles becomes for all of us 5 inches.
You have people who literally will gamble on their phones or on their computers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People just press the button all day long. And we've turned this into a nation of habitual gamblers.
On this episode of Fault Lines, we look at the rapid expansion of mobile betting in the US and the tactics companies use to reel gamblers in and keep them there.
They gave me 100% no stress bet.
The 100 that they could give you, like if you lose, it's the no stress. They give you another 100.
Correct. Well, they don't give you the money back. They give you a credit, so you can still take that a new $100 and bet it again.
Right.
Right. Even if
so
you
what they're
lose.
giving you isn't money. What they're giving you
they
is
definitely don't give you money.
they want to keep you in action.
Correct.
That's what the
Correct.
bonus bet
Correct.
is. It's not
Correct.
money. It's keeping you in action.
Correct. To keep you locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a setup.
You think?
That's kind of scary. This conversation is making me uncomfortable.
America's in the midst of a sports betting boom, but that's not the only kind of gambling that takes place on phones. At this psychiatric conference in Pittsburgh, Dr. Kavita Fisher is teaching clinicians about gambling addiction.
Roughly 1 in 5 gamblers will attempt suicide. Estimates go all the way up to 40% of problem gamblers.
She's a licensed child psychiatrist, but in the last few years, she's become an unwitting expert on problem gambling.
I had gone through a pretty rough divorce. I was single and isolated during the pandemic, so I think that probably contributed.
Feeling lonely, she turned to online gambling apps after her 2 young kids went to sleep.
Downloaded DraftKings. Were you looking to gamble on sports?
No more on the online casino. It felt real. There were actual live dealers and other people playing that were on the chat. You couldn't see them, but they were on the chat, so it mimicked more of a social experience.
It wasn't long before she started wagering serious money.
Some days I would deposit $1,000, $2,000. So if you do the math, that adds up quickly.
She racked up $80,000 in credit card debt, took out a loan from her retirement account, and had to get a second mortgage on her house. She says she lost more than $400,000 gambling across several different apps.
It just didn't feel as real as putting actual cash on a table or actual cash into a machine. It just felt I felt like a game.
Over the next 6 years, the American people are on course to lose more than $1 trillion of personal wealth to commercialized gambling.
And yet, the momentum to legalize online gambling is speeding across the country, unabated state by state.
Well, the day is finally here. Sports betting is launching in North Carolina.
See, RJ just hit a 3.
We came to North Carolina in March, just days after the state legalized online sports gambling.
Oh, dude, coach is on the floor. What?
And just in time for one of America's most gambled on sporting events.
March Madness, man, you can't beat it. It's just electric the whole month.
The country will tune into more than 130 college basketball games over the next 3 weeks. Americans are expected to legally gamble nearly $3 billion throughout the tournament.
Oh, I thought he was about to yam it. I thought he was about to yam it.
Chance Bolmer is in his last year at the University of North Carolina studying business.
And today's the first day of March Madness. How many bets did you have today?
A lot. I used all the promos today, so I don't know, maybe 10, 12 parlays.
In a parlay, multiple bets are rolled into one single wager with a larger payout. You have to win every one of them, so there's a higher risk, but a higher reward.
Amongst your friends, how many of them would know immediately what a parlay is?
Probably like 90+% of them.
90+% of your friends would know what a parlay is?
Yeah.
Like this is 4 different teams in this way. Then I got like a lot on UNC, obviously.
The legal age to bet on sports is generally 21, but some fantasy sports apps allow gamblers as young as 18.
The online gambling industry has had young men in its gun sights since the very beginning. So we've gone from collecting sports cards of your favorite athletes and putting posters on the wall, and now it's all about parlay bets, in-play wagering.
Have you seen a lot of advertising for gambling apps?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of advertising. Like anytime you're watching a game on TV, anytime I open like Instagram or Twitter, like there's an ad for FanDuel, DraftKings.
When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Online sportsbooks spent $2 billion on advertising in 2023 alone.
We know that youth are exposed to very high rates of gambling advertising, and whether or not it's intended or targeted, they're being exposed.
I like Caesars UI, but FanDuel and DraftKings usually have a little bit better lines. MGM and Bet365 for the sign-up bonuses.
How important is it that you can do this through a phone as opposed to going to a sports book?
It definitely makes me a lot more inclined if I can do it from like my phone or laptop than like physically going somewhere to place the bet.
How many times have you actually gone and placed a sports bet somewhere?
Maybe never.
As online sports gambling becomes more mainstream, there's fear of a growing addiction crisis. Calls to gambling helplines have skyrocketed. We spoke with dozens of people who were in recovery for gambling addiction. Most of them didn't want to speak about it on camera.
My whole life is on my phone. I had Instagram and Facebook when I was 13. I got Snapchat right around the same time.
We spoke to one young man who's 23 years old. He asked us to conceal his identity for fear of losing his job.
If it weren't for your job, would you feel shame about this?
I would feel an indescribable shame.
What makes it so shameful?
That I would dedicate this much time and mental space to something that I wasn't even getting high or physically enjoying.
He grew up in a tight-knit family of 4, in which sports played a key part in his upbringing.
It was the cornerstone of my relationship and my brother's relationship with our dad. It brought an indescribable amount of meaning to my life.
He didn't know anything about sports betting until he went to college. Not long after arriving on campus, he placed his first ever sports bet.
Did you ever have you were up a lot of money at some point?
I once won a DraftKings pool for $6,000 off of like a $20 entry.
It must have escalated pretty quickly there, huh?
You can only watch one game at a time, but you can bet on 30, or just world soccer in general. It's on 24 hours a day. It would not be irregular for me to be in bed on my phone from, call it 8 a.m. to noon or even later, 4 games on at once, betting all of them, betting, Bulgarian, Romanian.
He told us he lost more than $50,000 gambling.
Every deadline I set for myself, I'll stop betting when I turn 21. I mean, that was a joke. Stop betting when I graduate college. Stop betting when I start working. Stop betting when I turn 22. I blew through every deadline.
How did it affect your relationships?
I would be visiting my girlfriend and I would just go in with my phone, sit on the toilet, rattle off 10 bets. All of a sudden, my girlfriend doesn't know I have $2,000 in betting risk. Those moments, I would think to myself in the corner of my brain, like, am I a sociopath?
You have someone 18 even 22, their ability to make good decisions and the impulsivity still isn't fully developed. Then you put something like a gambling app on a phone, and there's no speed bumps or guardrails, there's nothing to slow them down. It's a perfect storm.
Part of the addictive nature of mobile sports betting is that gamblers can wager on any sport, anywhere in the world, anytime they want.
We used to bet in America on American sports. Now, if you want to be an active bettor, there are thousands of games available each day.
Online gambling companies collect data on users to track who they bet on, when they bet, and a host of other personal details.
The tracking of your intimate data, even your health data, your menstrual cycle data, your financial data, so many things that happen on your phone are visible to these companies.
Hey guys, ESPN Bet is here. Finally, a sports book from your favorite sports brand.
Algorithms and even artificial intelligence are used to make the apps very appealing, very sticky, very addicting.
This is a laboratory for experimenting with people and their behavior.
Sports gambling operators raked in nearly $11 billion in 2023, but they still see room to grow in the iGaming space. iGaming is an industry euphemism for online casino gambling like roulette or slot machines. On a recent earnings call, the CEO of DraftKings referred to it as an unlocked gem for the company.
I think a lot of people are sort of sleeping on it a little bit and maybe are just focused on how big the sports side can be and not realizing the iGaming side can make the business even larger.
Sports gambling gets people in the door, right? And while they make money from it, where they make the most money is getting you to transition over to the online casino portion of it. So FanDuel, DraftKings, at their base, these guys are online casino operators.
In Pennsylvania, people lost $1.7 billion in 2023 to casino-style wagering on mobile devices, more than 3 times the amount lost on sports betting. It's one of only 7 states where this type of gambling is legal. Kavita's preferred game is called Slingo, a casino-style game resembling bingo.
Think about it as a slot machine spin for
a few seconds.
1 second for $12,000. I think there were days where I started gambling at 10 p.m. and had lost like $2,000 by 11 and spent from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. trying to get that money back and failing, and then finally going to bed at 4. Getting up and doing it again the next day.
She was chasing her losses. For compulsive gamblers, it can be a vicious cycle.
If you're a citizen that shows the likelihood of chasing your losses, which is the #1 indicator of somebody who's an addicted gambler, like you chase your losses, you as a gambling operator, that should be an immediate check, like, hey, we need to stop this. This is a person we shouldn't be marketing to.
DraftKings took the opposite approach and assigned her a VIP host to keep her in action.
They would provide incentives for me and make sure that I'm having a good experience online. There would be different things like tickets to Steelers games.
Think about a woman, a single mom, and she's young. And all of a sudden, she's got a VIP person reaching out to her, and she's got someone giving her football tickets. She's thinking, I finally made it. Like, there's a hook to that, and there's a big price to that as well.
At the game, her son noticed that something wasn't right.
And I told him, oh, it's from work. And he said, I didn't see any of your coworkers here. And I heard a lot of people talking about gambling and DraftKings. He's like, did you get this because you use the DraftKings app, Mom? Like, this is coming from at the time he was 12. Yeah.
And so what'd you tell him?
I was completely honest with him, and I said yes, and Mommy's going to stop using that app.
But she couldn't stop. By this point, she was chasing more than just her losses.
I just couldn't stop placing the bet for that anticipation, for that rush.
When she came up short one month on her mortgage, she turned to her DraftKings VIP host for help.
There was a time where I emailed him and said, hey, does DraftKings ever give out loans? Because I'm having a hard time paying my mortgage this month. He said no. And then he wrote back and said, "Do you have a problem gambling?" And I said, "No, just asking."
We took her emails to a professor at New York University. Natasha Scholl is the author of Addiction by Design and an expert in how the gambling industry reels in their clients.
So look at what she asked. Does DraftKings ever give?
Small loans. This is really concerning because she's voicing in her email that she's short on her mortgage, also saying, probably this means I need to quit gambling. And it does seem like the first response is taking that seriously, asking if she's playing within her means budget. But then when she sends back this one-liner, "Yes, I'm playing within my means," okay, perfect. You know, let's give you $250, click to claim to get you back in action.
There's something about that phrase, back in action.
Right, I mean, that's a term that gamblers use to describe that kind of rush, right? This is an amazing exchange here, but I assume that it's par for the course, and there's many more out there like this.
Oh, are you gambling beyond your means? You know, like we'll send these email communications, but they know damn well, and you know, you don't need any knowledge of addiction science to know like this person's an out of control gambler. Anyone with a conscience, you know, knows this is incredibly wrong what they're doing.
We emailed DraftKings about Kavita's story, and they didn't respond. We called their VIP host directly.
Hello?
Hey, my name's Josh Rushing. I host a show called Fault Lines on Al Jazeera English, and I'm working on an episode about sports gambling. We're covering Kavita Fisher's story. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions. Guess he doesn't want to talk.
When Kavita was deep in debt, she was thrown a lifeline. She started to win, and win big.
The game had such a high winning streak. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I lost in between. It was continuous winning for 48 hours.
She went up nearly $500,000, enough to clear her debts. But at this point, it was more about dopamine than dollars.
I know neurobiologically, it's extremely hard to stop because your brain needs that level of dopamine that's already so high, and you start having withdrawal symptoms if you don't keep playing.
She couldn't bring herself to withdraw the money.
At the end, when I lost it all, there was also this sense of relief, which I can't explain.
The majority of profits come from those players, the people who play to keep playing, who never are really going to take their money out of the game.
In psychiatry, gambling addiction is classified in the same category as cocaine and heroin.
You can't really design heroin. It comes with its properties sort of already built in. But you can build whole companies with massive hundreds of people on design teams for every little element and aspect of these apps, right? The pacing of the apps, what they look like, the little graphics that explode on them, the algorithms behind them.
It seems to me that the same algorithm that identified you as someone to give VIP service to is the same kind of algorithm that could have led you to help.
I think so.
But why do you think it didn't?
Why didn't Big Pharma tell consumers that opioids could be so dangerous? They made it sound like these are the new pain pills and, you know, there's no risk of getting addicted or having these long-term effects. And here we are in an opioid epidemic, and how long is it going to take before we're in a gambling epidemic?
Gambling has become so normalized in America that the NFL chose Las Vegas to stage the 2024 Super Bowl.
Let's go! Bang, bang! Let's go!
It was the most watched game in history and the most gambled on, with Americans wagering more than $23 billion. For decades, professional teams avoided Vegas because they didn't want to damage the integrity of their sport. How times have changed.
You know, we are the exclusive official licensee of the NFL slot, so we're the only ones who can produce games of this sort.
This is Radio Row. It's where the world's media comes to cover the biggest game, and it's always full of traditional broadcasters. But this year, two of the sets getting the biggest buzz and the biggest stars are both sports gambling companies.
We asked FanDuel and DraftKings for on-camera interviews, but they declined. Both companies have signed on celebrities to help them market their platforms.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Rob Gronkowski was one of the greatest football players of all time.
The Kick of Destiny 2 live Super Bowl.
He's the star of a massive FanDuel marketing campaign.
All right, another question from Fault Lines.
Why was it important for you to endorse FanDuel, particularly at a time where there's a lot of concern about the growing epidemic of problem gambling with young men, the kind of young men who look up to you?
Yes, well, FanDuel is the #1 leading sports book in America, and I'm a championship guy. I love winning championships, so I love being with the #1 team outside off the field as well. And on top of it, FanDuel does a great job with responsible gambling. They're always representing, bet responsibly. Don't go out there, bet your paycheck, on a weekly basis. Go out there and just make the game more intriguing with a safe bet.
I just use FanDuel's responsible gaming tools like time and spending limits to manage my play.
That's the system.
The industry says they take responsible gambling very serious. Is that the framework to approach this by?
That is absolutely a PR campaign. It is a total deflection away from any responsibility on the part of the designers who are spending huge budgets manipulating every little color and sound and tweak on these things.
You'll get a best-in-class experience with everything you want out of a sports book.
And also a total deflection of responsibility away from the marketing practices that are just constantly trying to pull you back, pull you back, pull you back.
For someone in recovery, responsible gambling is not an option. Nor is living daily life without constant reminders that online gambling is just a click away.
Is it easy to avoid seeing casino ads these days?
They're everywhere. I mean, any sports game, just driving home from this beach today to now, there were about 3 that I saw right on the highway.
You mentioned in your talk today that 1 in 5 problem gamblers attempt suicide?
It's the financial desperation that eventually people see it as the only way out. I've thought about it. I'm worth $2 million if I'm not here, and that could take care of all my debt. It could take care of my kids. The thing that prevents me from it going any further than I thought is my children. Being there for them as a mother is very important.
How long is your payoff plan? How many years will you be paying it off?
3 to 5.
That sounds like a prison sentence. 3 to 5 with good behavior.
Yeah, with good behavior. Exactly.
Unable to stop gambling online, Kavita registered with a program run by the state that prevents her from accessing gambling websites. But it turns out that wasn't enough. She found a loophole, a category of online games that are not considered gambling by the state.
I call them hidden gambling apps like Solitaire Cash or Bubble Cash or any of those that literally look like a game. But lost 7 to 10 grand.
Like in the last 2 months on Solitaire Cash.
And Bubble Cash. In fact, at the end of Solitaire Cash, I was offered a VIP host. I am 13 days, 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 41 seconds. It's over.
Do you still feel the temptation?
All the time.
Kavita wasn't the only one who found a workaround to keep gambling.
FanDuel won't let me open the page. When I go to DraftKings.
The 23-year-old we interviewed installed an app that prevents him from accessing gambling websites. But even that wasn't enough.
When was the last time you placed a bet?
9 days ago. I had a 1-day relapse after 2 months clean. I figured out that I could actually access these sites through my work phone, and so I brought my work phone to my co-ed soccer league that I, was one of the outlets that I've wanted to use for recovery. I was sitting there on my work phone rattling off, $500 to $1,000 worth of bets. I'm definitely not in control.
My heart breaks for people, whether you're an adult or a young person, it's physically changed your brain chemistry. Like that brain chemistry isn't easy just to rechange back, so you're susceptible to this really for the rest of your life.
I really fell in love with sports. It's just such an important part of society and of culture. But then betting just kind of like a cancer just kind of latched on and spread. I honestly just don't see how it gets better until it gets a whole lot worse.